Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, I decided that I'm in a Star Wars mood, alright? I've been in a Star Wars mood, been reading Master and Apprentice, been playing them video games. But today, I decided it is time that we are going to put on a tier list all of the Star Wars movies. And just as a disclaimer for this video, I'm going solely based off memory of these movies. I haven't watched all of them in a long time. The most recent ones I watched were the prequels. So this could be a weird list. But at the end of the day, these are my opinions. These are not objective. This is not an objective ranking of these movies. But I'm going to try my best to rank them fairly. So let's get started. For starts, let's see what we got. We'll do it in order of what they. We'll do in release order. Star Wars: A New Hope, S tier. Obviously, first Star Wars movie. It's gonna be an S tier. It's just. Am I gonna catch flack for this? A New Hope. It's the start of the series. It's everybody's first Star Wars movie, really. Like, if someone's going to show you Star Wars, you're going to see A New Hope. Man. Oh, Star Wars A New Hope. There's so many good things about it just because it is the first one. But just because it is the first one, we might move that to A. Star Wars A New Hope, an A tier. It's the first Star Wars movie. It doesn't get any better than that. It's good. It's got good stuff in it. It's amazing. Obviously, it's our introduction to this franchise as a whole, and it's just magical. There's really no notes except that I guess as Star Wars has gotten more sophisticated and more grand, it's wild to go back and see before, because it's like I don't think anything like outside of the movies was planned yet, because this is the first one. So yeah, episode 4, Star Wars: A New Hope, A tier, classic movie. You can't get any better than that. What is that? Is that Empire? What is that? Damn. Is that Empire Strikes Back? Yeah, Empire. Sorry, these are so small and they don't really have big font. So Empire Strikes Back, S tier. Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. It's just a perfect sequel in everything that was in A New Hope, but better. It's just a great movie. I don't know what else to say except the vibes are immaculate. It's a perfect Star Wars movie. It's great. The music's amazing, obviously. The story's amazing. The planets we see are amazing. The characters are obviously amazing. Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Yoda, Dagobah, all the stuff. Everything in Empire Strikes Back is just a perfect Star Wars thing. Everything in it is perfect. It's great. It's amazing. Don't have much to say except, yeah, Empire Strikes Back, S tier, best Star Wars movie. This is going to be controversial. I don't know how controversial it would be, but Star Wars Return of the Jedi, B tier. Look, listen. Return of the Jedi is a great Star Wars movie. It's great, but it's kind of mid compared to A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, especially coming after Empire Strikes Back. Luke's finally a Jedi Knight. All that stuff's cool, and like the characters are obviously amazing, and the intro of the movie is great. But Yeah. It kind of, the third half of the movie kind of takes a dive, minus the Darth Vader versus Luke stuff on the Death Star. Yeah, it's a B tier. I like it. It's the one I've watched the least. Return of the Jedi, B tier. And this is where we get to the controversial picks, because there's gonna be some wild choices on the prequel front. But yeah, Phantom Menace above Return of the Jedi. Look, listen, we all love to hate Phantom Menace, but as someone who's recently watched it just last weekend, Phantom Menace is great. It's great. I think it's great. It's just it's a fun Star Wars movie, and it has some of the coolest moments in Star Wars, like the pod racing sick. Pod racing section sick. Qui-Gon Jinn doesn't get any better than that. The fight with Darth Maul, the battle on Naboo. It's just good stuff. The acting is hit or miss, not the greatest, but it's just a fun Star Wars movie, and it has really cool Star Wars moments. Darth Maul is really cool. Queen Amidala is cool. The pod racing stuff's cool. Just everything about it is just cool, and I like it. People love to hate on Jar Jar, but it's honestly not that bad. Yeah, Phantom Menace, have it right above, slightly. It's not like I would not put it majorly above Return of the Jedi, but I come back to Phantom Menace more. There's just cooler shit that happens. It's less it's just exciting. It's an exciting movie. It's fun. There's cool stuff that happens. Phantom Menace, high B tier. What else is there? Attack of the Clones. D tier. I don't think any of these movies are an F tier, but Attack of the Clones comes pretty damn close. The first half of the movie, like the first and second act of this movie, are so unbelievably unnecessary. It's not even funny. Like, this is the test to see if you can get through a Star Wars rewatch, is watching Attack of the Clones. This is the test to see if you can go on. It's not great, and the Padme and Anakin stuff is just not good. The dialogue's terrible. It's just not good stuff. But when you get to the last half, when they're on Geonosis, it's pretty fucking cool. It's cool shit that happens from that point on. Attack of the Clones is not great, but the last half is. It's a movie that feels entirely unnecessary. Like, I think you could watch Attack of the Clones from when they go to Tatooine onwards. You could watch from Tatooine onwards. That's like the middle of the movie. You could start this movie from the middle and then watch that half, and that's all you need. Attack of the Clones is D tier, mid as fuck. It is just not great, but the last half is really great. And that's really the only purpose for watching the movie, is the last half. Like, the story starts in the middle, I feel like. The Camino stuff is important, I feel like, but not as important as Anakin's mom dying onwards. So, Attack of the Clones is a D tier. It's so close to F. If any of the last half of the movie didn't happen, it would be an F tier. Attack of the Clones is just not great. It's the one I watched the least. Jango Fett's cool, but it's just wholly unnecessary until the last half of the movie, or middle onwards. The first half is just not good. Honor Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is an S tier. Revenge of the Sith is one of the best Star Wars movies, and it's crazy because the prequels are so weird because I love Phantom Menace, but it has problems that make it not an S tier or an A tier. And Attack of the Clones is just wholly unnecessary until the middle of the movie onwards, or not even the middle, but like beginning of third act onward. It's not necessary. But Revenge of the Sith has a tone and a vibe shift that is so intriguing to watch if you haven't seen it before, or anytime I watch it, I just have this pit in my stomach. Is like there's this darkness behind every bit of this movie that is so ominous, with the music and the lighting of some shots, and how a lot of it is either at sunset or nighttime. It's just really good stuff. Some of the acting is still rough, but holy, Revenge of the Sith is a top tier, S tier Star Wars movie. Just the tragedy and the pain that characters go through in the fall of the Jedi Order is just good stuff. And I just wish some of the acting could be better. That's really the only complaint I have. But like the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda and Sidious is unmatched cool Star Wars energy. It's just cool Star Wars energy, and is basically the catalyst for what happens in the original trilogy. It's good stuff. It's a conclusion to the prequel trilogy. It's just good stuff. That's all I really have to say on that front. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, S tier. It's good stuff. I don't really have notes to say. It's just some of the acting could be better. But it has some of the best Star Wars moments as a whole. It's just S tier. Revenge of the Sith, incredibly good movie, which is crazy because of the quality of the prequels throughout, but the last one is like incredible. So yeah, Revenge of the Sith, S tier. The Clone Wars movie. The Clone Wars cartoon movie, not good, not great. It's the start of the best Star Wars show that we have, but it's not good. It's not really good. It was kind of like a weird. I'm surprised that this movie was as bad as it was, and the only thing that would save it from an F tier. Let's do low D tier, because the only thing that saves it is Ahsoka. That's it. Ahsoka and Captain Rex. Ahsoka being introduced in this movie is incredible, and just the fact that it started the Clone Wars show is enough to bring it up to a D tier. If it didn't have any of that stuff, it would be F tier. Everything that follows that in terms of the Clone Wars show is S tier. Top S tier Star Wars. If I had shows here, Star Wars, the Clone Wars, the show would be S tier, top S tier. It's the best Star Wars content. And the fact that this movie started that show deserves it a D tier at least, but it's just not good. It's cringy. The animation isn't as good until you get to the show, and even then the show later on has better animation. It's just not good stuff. The performances are really good. I like all the voice actors that play the characters, but the story is just not great. Just cool stuff in it that happens, but not enough to save it. It's just bottom D tier. Probably the worst Star Wars movie, I think. I don't like the Clone Wars. It's not great. Low D tier. Moving on. What came next? Oh, release order. So Force Awakens. Force Awakens is high A tier, and the reason I put it above A New Hope is just because I think it's A New Hope, but with cooler stuff that happens. The Force Awakens is a really great Star Wars movie, and it just brought the franchise back from death, basically, and launched the new era of Star Wars with Disney. The characters are really cool. Rey is cool. Finn's cool. Poe Dameron's cool. All the classic characters that return. It's great stuff. Kylo Ren's really cool. His lightsaber is sick as hell. There's just cool stuff that happens in it. It's just fun to watch. The music is incredible. It's some of John Williams' best work. Yeah, high A tier. I don't really have much to say. It's a pretty perfect Star Wars movie. The only reason it's in A tier is it just doesn't do enough new. It's a lot of recycling what A New Hope did. So it's an A tier. It's a solid, great Star Wars movie. I just can't give it enough love. It's just amazing. Good stuff. Force Awakens, A tier, high A tier. The only reason it's above A New Hope is because it's more modern. And I like it's more modern, but they still do practical stuff. It works good. It just works good. It's just a great Star Wars movie. Next up, Rogue One. Rogue One, right behind Revenge of the Sith. This was such a cool movie because it was the first Star Wars movie to be outside. If you're not counting the Clone Wars, which I don't really count, it is the first live-action Star Wars movie to be outside of the main trilogy, or outside of the main saga, the Skywalker saga. It is so good. Rogue One is a perfect Star Wars movie and just a great film in general. Like, not even just a great Star Wars movie, but a great film in general. I haven't watched this one in a long time, so I'm forgetting a lot of stuff. But from memory, it's quite incredible, and the cast and the characters are fantastic. It's so extremely likable, enough to where Cassian Andor has his own show, and that's a great show. So Rogue One, right behind Revenge of the Sith. I just think Revenge of the Sith is just crazy consequential for Star Wars, enough to where Rogue One goes just slightly behind it. Not much, but Rogue One slightly behind Revenge of the Sith. Good stuff. Big fan of Rogue One. Don't have much to say. K2SO is a homie. Good stuff. Star Wars Rogue One, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Right behind Revenge of the Sith, S tier. Solo goes in A tier, right behind A New Hope. Solo, a Star Wars story, is such a good movie. It is a great, fun movie that showed that, like, yeah, Han Solo doesn't have to just be Harrison Ford. I don't think Han Solo is as tied to Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones is tied to Harrison Ford, because I don't think I want to see another Indiana Jones besides Harrison Ford. Outside, in movies, the games are fun. Troy Baker killed it, but yeah, Solo is just really fun and a good heist movie, and Donald Glover plays Lando, which is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. So yeah, there's I don't really have any notes except I wish it was slightly better. Cause it's a fun movie, but I feel like the story isn't as compelling, but there's cool shit that happens, and Kira's a really cool character. Seeing Han and Chewie meet for the first time is great, but Alden Ehrenreich did such a good job of playing Han Solo that it's a great movie. It's super fun, and I can watch that all the time. It's such a fun movie that it's kind of timeless. It's just a great movie. Like, Solo was great, And it was done a disservice because Last Jedi came out right before, like a few months before, and we'll get to that one in a second. Oh, I did this backwards. Well, I did this backwards. The Last Jedi was supposed to go on next, but I was so excited to get to Solo, a Star Wars movie, that yeah. Anyways, Last Jedi. This is the most controversial Star Wars movie. The Last Jedi truly divided the fan base, and like after The Last Jedi came out, Star Wars has not been the same since. Like the Star Wars fan base has not been the same. I'm kind of been like a recovering Star Wars fan, or like recovering from Star Wars burnout, because I've just been so displeased with the toxicity of the fan base. I know there's like great channels out there like Star Wars Explained and like other great creators, but this just created a divide that just, honestly, I wish this movie, I'm going to put it on the list and then we'll talk more about it, but it's a low B tier for me. A very low B tier. Nah, we'll put it in C. I think The Last Jedi is a C. It's not terrible, but it's not completely bad. The Last Jedi is just not... It's a really disappointing movie because it kind of threw away what it seemed like they were going towards with The Force Awakens, which was a really good Star Wars movie and a great start to a trilogy, but not letting one person, or not having like a cohesive idea with what you want to do with a Star Wars trilogy really hurt this, and trying to be so different really hurt it. But it has really great Star Wars moments, like when Luke is talking to Yoda on Octu. It's really great stuff, and I love that scene. But there's just so much that is just not great about The Last Jedi. I like stuff for being different, but taking everything The Force Awakens was building up to and just kind of throwing it to the side was not a great call. And I think they needed a more concise plan with The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy as a whole. Getting back to what this kind of started the Star Wars burnout for me, kind of, in a way, not directly, but it was the start of Star Wars. This is pre-Disney Plus still, and this was like the start of where you see like they're making Star Wars shows, and it's going to happen at some point, and they're just going to ramp up Star Wars as a whole. I don't think we let Star Wars in this time have enough of a break in between movies to truly let them breathe and be worked on. And the fan base was just completely divided by this movie. And I think that knocks it down to a C, because I feel like this movie, I respect The Last Jedi, but it feels like it was made, I'm not like one of those anti-woke people I'm not on the bad side of the Star Wars fan base, because I do like The Last Jedi. I think it's pretty good. But the reason it's in C tier is it feels like it was made to be divisive in a way. It feels like it was made to be divisive. I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, but it does feel like it was made to be divisive, because a lot of it is just kind of like, I think nostalgia is bad. Can be bad. But I don't think necessarily as a whole it is bad. I just think that it needs to be handled with care, and I think The Force Awakens handled it with care, but The Last Jedi just kind of said, we're not doing that. I think The Force Awakens was so like A New Hope that with The Last Jedi they were trying to make something not like the other Star Wars original trilogy movies. Like, this could have just been Empire Strikes Back Part 2, but they didn't do that, and I respect it for that. But when they were setting up something really great with The Force Awakens, this movie taking it and throwing it away and getting rid of a lot of practical stuff was kind of silly. And I think it was made to be divisive. I could be wrong on that, but I just get a divisive feel from it. It kind of plagued the rest of Star Wars forever, that I really can't like it as much as I used to, because it just gives me bad memories of the fan base being divided. I do like The Last Jedi. I don't think it's really bad at all. I just think it kind of just gives me bad memories of the fan base starting to divide, like, at a rapid pace. Like, it was kind of already divided, but at a rapid pace. This movie tanked people's faith in Lucasfilm to deliver Star Wars that isn't gonna kind of divide people, and this was the start of that, I feel. Yeah, so The Last Jedi, I have a lot to say about it, but as someone recovering from Star Wars burnout, I could go a little bit without watching this one again. But yeah, C tier. It would be a B tier, but just because of my memory of this kind of dividing the fan base, I can't give it a B. It's just kind of like a personal thing. I just don't want to hear people talk about this fucking movie anymore. People talk about this one way too much and way too harshly that I just don't want to fucking hear about this movie anymore. It needs to go away for a long time, and then I can come back to it, but I'm tired of hearing people argue about this movie, because it's not a bad movie. It's actually pretty great. And two, it just reminds me of terrible fans in the community. So I'm giving it a C tier. And which leads us to the last one, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. This is a B tier. I think The Rise of Skywalker is a great movie. I really do like The Rise of Skywalker. The reason it's a low B tier is this movie was kind of like a let's fix The Last Jedi, let's fix what The Last Jedi broke. And they had to conclude the entire Skywalker saga while also fixing what was busted from The Last Jedi, and that completely tanked the quality of this film. I do love The Rise of Skywalker. I like it a lot. I like a lot of the stuff that happens. It has got some really cool shit, but this felt like Disney and Lucasfilm being scared and like, oh, what do we do? Palpatine's back. It's like, what? If handled properly, it could have been cool, but it's just like one of those things where it's like, you break glass in case of emergency movie. That's what this is. I think it's really good with what they did with it, and I like a lot of the shit. Lando came back, loved it, but it could have been so much better, and the reason it's not higher is because it had so much potential. And I actually liked the Duel of the Fates script that Colin Trevorrow was working on. I thought that was cool stuff, but because what Force Awakens set up, The Last Jedi broke kind of, and in that vein, I don't think it was necessary to go back and try to fix that. I just wish they kept being different. Instead of trying to fix stuff, I wish they just kept being different, and they didn't. And I think that's what really hurt this movie, is you could tell that they were scared. They're like, oh, the Last Jedi was divisive. Let's fix it and try to fix it as best as possible and conclude the entirety of the Skywalker saga. And it did not work in their favor, really, because this movie was even more divisive, and this was kind of the beginning of the Star Wars fatigue that I feel like everybody was having. But the reason it's in B tier, not C tier for me, is I really do love J.J. Abrams working on Star Wars, and I think he's done a great job with the 2 movies he worked on. But this could be so much more, and it's just wasted potential of the movie. It's just very hard to give anything higher. But yeah, I love The Rise of Skywalker, but I understand people's complaints with it and the problems it has, but I still like it. It's the same with Phantom Menace. I understand the problems that people have with it, but I can't help but love it. But The Rise of Skywalker, this list might look crazy with like Return of the Jedi sandwiched in between The Phantom Menace and The Rise of Skywalker, but I really do love The Phantom Menace, and I really do like The Rise of Skywalker. I just think that it could have been better, and it makes me so sad that it couldn't be better. It's just the sequel trilogy started great, but it just had so much wasted potential that I honestly can't recommend anybody watch it if you're not like a huge fan. Like, I personally love it, but Rise of Skywalker isn't the greatest. But I truly believe that it's good. It's just not what it could have been. But yeah, that's the Star Wars tier list. We got I'll go down the line, and we'll rank these off. We'll go from worst to best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so there's 12. So at number 12, we have Star Wars The Clone Wars. It's not good. It's just not good. Low D tier. The only reason it's in D tier is because it started the show. Ahsoka was created and Captain Rex was invented. Good stuff. Love it for that, but not good any other way. Attack of the Clones, wholly unnecessary movie until the later half of the movie. Is low D tier. Don't have much to say except wholly unnecessary for most of the movie. The Last Jedi, super divisive. Don't want to talk about this movie anymore. C tier. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, low B tier. Okay, so 12 Clone Wars, 11 Attack of the Clones, number 10 Star Wars: The Last Jedi. At number 9 we have Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Fun movie, good stuff. Just wasted potential. That's number 9. Number 8, we have Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. Like I said, classic movie. Not my favorite Star Wars, but it's still a great, amazing movie. Number 8. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. This movie gets a lot of hate. This is my number 7. I really love The Phantom Menace. It's just a fun movie to watch, and I like the characters a lot. Cool. Some of the coolest stuff in Star Wars happens in it. Wholly misunderstood movie. That's number 7. At number 6, we have Solo, a Star Wars story. This movie is really fun. The only thing holding it back is the switch in directors, and the story isn't great, but the characters and the fun of this movie are enough to push it ahead. At number 5, we have Star Wars A New Hope. This movie is a classic. It started the entire franchise as a whole. Nothing else to say except it's just a great start to such an amazing franchise. At number 4, I have Star Wars The Force Awakens. It does everything that A New Hope does, but in a modern lens, and that's why it gets ahead. Just really cool stuff. I like the characters. Daisy really is great. Kylo Ren's really cool. It's just got good stuff, good music. One of the best soundtracks this series has. That's number 4. Really launched the new era of Star Wars and brought it back from the dead. Star Wars Rogue One. Rogue One, number 3. Just a great movie. The best cast of characters Star Wars has ever seen. It's so good. Darth Vader hallway scene, fantastic. That's number 3. Number 2, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Just a totally amazing Star Wars movie with dark vibes, and it is a classic must-watch Star Wars movie. Absolutely love it. Love the characters. Obi-Wan's great. Anakin's great. Yoda. All of it. Amazing stuff. Number 2. And number 1, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. The perfect Star Wars movie and the best movie in the entire franchise. Just great stuff. There's nothing I have 0 complaints about The Empire Strikes Back. Nothing I would change. Perfect Star Wars movie. And that wraps up the Star Wars tier list. Thank you everybody for watching. I know this is a longer movie. I know this is a longer video, but if you'd like to see more, I'm thinking about doing a Star Wars video game tier list next. But until then, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.